All right, Marfoogle TV live in 3, 2, 1. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We're going to get right into the news. First, I want to talk about an old video that has resurfaced, and a lot of people have been sending me this because of big Twitter accounts that are reposting it. I believe we actually covered this back when it happened, but when the Pope's funeral happened, a lot of folks are talking about the kind of weapons that they actually had there. Now, I'm going to show you an image. It says, what weapon is this? These are soldiers guarding the Vatican ahead of the Pope's funeral. Now, remember, this is back in April, I think April 26, and this was one of the weapons. It looks like a pizza oven, but no joke, this is actually one of the new smart weapons, and they call this, I believe, a smart weapon. Jacob Israel actually responded, says, Grog knows all. The weapon in the picture is a tracking point precision-guided firearm. Now, somebody else corrects this. It says specifically a model from their series of smart rifles. These rifles use advanced technology, including a networked tracking scope, to enhance accuracy by locking onto targets and compensating for variables like wind and distance. The design often includes a futuristic look with integrated electronics with matches to the appearance. Now, I immediately said that looks like one of those net guns, the one that shoots out the net and actually grabs the drones. Other people said anti-drone weapon. It says anti-drone, bro. The old ones we have way better now. So I'm actually curious to see what kind of better. It says that this is the DJA-120W, is a handheld, long-range, multi-band counter UAS jammer designed to safeguard against unauthorized drones. One thing that we didn't really, cover in detail is the fact that more and more actual events now have these or have something like it. They are even talking about adding these to Super Bowls and other events like that. We're going to cover much more tonight. In fact, obviously the new huge crew of the Carrier Strike Group just arrived in Venezuela. They are now mass mobilizing in Venezuela and even grabbing some of their neighbors to help them as well. So are we looking at the beginning of the war? We will talk about that. Also, they say that now there is a lake full of Nato submarines. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, shout out to Wages World, one of our awesome mods, and prayers for his wife, continued prayers for his wife and her recovery. What is going on? We have lots of great people in the chat. Mike Casetta, or Miko Seta, Damian Griffin. We have Diane Whitlock, Robert, Rob Mills, and members, Tree Hookers, J-Pass. Thank you, Chance Paladin, for being here and modding early on in the game. Thank you for a couple of joiners. We have Anderson, Oldafire. Thank you so much for joining as a member of the Foogle fam first month. So that is awesome. Thank you. And then Tony Kutla, Feather Realm, Ziggy, and J-Pass, and of course, Jeffrey Woolidge. Thank you, and thank you. Wild Strawberries and so many more. Mayhem68. Thank you guys for making it. All right, let's bring my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So I'll just be honest with you guys. That news episode was totally, there was a huge mistake with that. And most of you probably didn't know, I'm sure probably a lot of you did, that didn't go as smoothly as planned. Some things didn't open up and there was a technical error. If you go back to it, now that you know it was all messed up, you will probably get a good laugh on how bad that was. So anyways, just wanted to let you know, you don't want to miss out on a good laugh. All right. Now we're going to talk about so much more today. It is just absolutely crazy in the world as always. It is 2025, just like 24 and 23 and 22 and 21 and 19. It is a new world. Every single day, things just keep getting weirder and weirder. Dex, speaking of which, let's talk about Sweden. The Baltic Sea is now a lake full of NATO subs.
Yeah, so the warfare exercises, the anti-submarine warfare exercises to be specific, kicked off this week. And the top commanders said now that they have Sweden in the alliance, that the Baltic Sea is now a lake full of NATO submarines under a unified command. So with Sweden's addition, that was our first opportunity to add another submarine nation to NATO. And now we have basically a Baltic lake full of NATO submarines. The NATO top submarine commander, U.S. Rear Admiral Brett Graub, said at a press briefing, speaking about the topic in Stockholm. In the exercise, NATO's dedicated Baltic anti-submarine warfare drill called Merlin brings together subs from Sweden, Germany, and services ships and helicopters from France, Germany, and Netherlands, and Sweden, and maritime patrol aircraft from the United States to practice all-domain anti-submarine warfare in the shallow, mine-prone, relatively shallow Baltic environment. So, but it's not just those two submarines that are there. It's all the other nations that are now there that have been there with their submarines. So they basically got pretty much everybody in the Baltic Sea all around there with submarines. So, as they call it, the NATO lake or the NATO submarine lake.
Yeah, and obviously you don't know exactly where the submarines are at any time. You know, they could be anywhere. They could be right outside on the border of any country, and they probably wouldn't know. But one thing that we have been tracking is the amount of countries that are beefing up on their anti-submarine technology and anti-submarine vehicles. We just covered, what was that, Romania? Or was it, which country just bought?
Germany.
Germany
just got the Poseidons.
Yeah, Germany just bought 8 P-8A Poseidons and is actually going to be getting 4 more. So a total of 12 P-8 anti-submarine Poseidons, the big, beefy planes. So something is up, and we don't know what is going on, but again, we're going to be following it. And then inside China's Area 51. Now, this is pretty interesting, to say the least. Satellite images shared with the Telegraph reveal sprawling military base and nuclear test facility hidden in plain sight. Now, the one of the pictures they posted is pretty bland. It looks like dirt, right? But they supposedly say that this thing is actually full of all sorts of crazy secretive things going on. The Chinese military is busy at Lop Nur. Again, it says, hidden on the fringes of the Gobi Desert, the secretive military base is a hub for the latest and most advanced military technology that Beijing doesn't want anyone to see. Previously, the location of China's first nuclear test in 1964, the sprawling base in a remote part of the northwestern Zhejiang province now hosts the world's longest runway, an expanding nuclear test site, as well as dozens of nondescript buildings that have left leading defense experts stumped. Isolated and tightly controlled, Lop Nur is often likened by defense experts to Area 51, the fabled compound where the U.S. tests and most classified and cutting-edge aircraft are designed and tested. Similar to Area 51, flying over the top-secret Chinese base is strictly prohibited, yet exclusive satellite images have offered a rare glimpse into what the world's fastest-growing military is developing and how its old technology and its new technology could be used in the future. In recent satellite images taken by Planet Labs and shared with the Telegraph, 2 new tailless stealth fighter jets were spotted on Lop Nur's massive 3-mile runway. So this looks just like ours, but this straight up looks like a UFO. If somebody saw this thing, I guarantee you they would be reporting it to the UFO reporting line. But this is one of their new stealth jets. It straight up looks like a pie. Dex, what did you think when you saw this? I thought it looks a lot like ours.
Yeah, certainly. And they also suggest that with this extra long runway, they're probably using it to support their space planes, which they've got those gliders that they've talked about, which are very similar to the ones that we have, like the X-37B. So, there's all sorts of activity, just like we probably have all sorts of activity happening at Area 51 that we just don't know about, because they're in remote desert locations, highly secure, highly protected, and as they say, this is their version of Area 51.
Yeah, so I just wonder. It's kind of surprising that there isn't any kind of way to protect against satellite images. I don't know if any of you used to play like Command and Conquer, I forget what they called it, like a fog of war machine or whatever. You would think that they would have lasers or something pointing straight up so nobody could see down. I'm just surprised because you can see a lot. No matter how careful you are, you end up showing things if somebody has a top-down view on you. I'm just surprised in 2025 that there isn't some sort of super advanced cloaking technology, and not like invisibility, but something that would be able to blind satellites that are directly above. I don't know if something like that exists. Let me know. If you're in the military and think that there is, let me know. Anyways, that's what are they doing there? That's our question. Now, before anything, let me just say thank you to Amarillo Gunrunners. Says, what was that in the sky last night? So, I've heard somebody posted a video of this green thing coming down and breaking up in the atmosphere from a plane. I don't know if that's the video you're talking about or what. But, I will say this. Over the last 2 nights, I've heard crazy explosions in the Seattle area, and I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know if this new house, if there's like a dump that's nearby that's using explosives or something, but we have heard explosions so big that it absolutely couldn't have been like a car crashing into a pole or something. I've heard that plenty of times, and sometimes those sound like bombs, but whatever I heard last night was just unbelievable. It woke everybody up in my entire house. And then what is going on, Damian Griffin? And yeah, please detail more, Amarillo Gunrunners, and what state, are you Washington like me? Because I didn't see anything. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. I definitely have to recommend this. I've been telling you guys all month to wait for this, and this is here. It's not smart as an affiliate to say wait to buy something as an affiliate. Obviously, we get a tiny commission when you go and buy it. But in this case, not only do you get our $50 off discount for an EMP Shield, you get their Veterans Day sale that is up to 25% off. So it's one of the biggest sales they've done in 4 years. I think the last biggest one was back in Black Friday of last year, and that was not as big as this. So again, if you have been waiting on the fence, this is a device that will protect you, your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators, pretty much anything that you want to keep running, including your home and all of your devices. Then you definitely want to get a EMP Shield on it. They make all sorts of different devices for different things. Like you can get one that just plug and plays right into your Starlink system, or you can get one that wires right into your car in less than 10 minutes with 3 wires, red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, green to ground or part of your the side of your chassis, and then you're done. It's super easy. Don't have to have a mechanic or a handyman do this. Anybody can do it. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARV. Again, not only will we be helping our channel, you'll be getting one of the biggest discounts they've ever had on all of their devices. Remember, that stacks, and it is per device with our $50 off and their 25% off. All right, and that's marfooglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARV. All right, and that also protects you against solar events, which obviously yesterday we had that Cannibal CME coming towards us, and Dix, by the way, when does that Cannibal CME, is the initial effects happen in minutes? When is the other one supposed to hit us?
We had the double CME hit yesterday.
Okay.
And now we have the big one, I guess, starting to hit now. And we should start to see auroras from that. I know people were going to be looking at the sky tonight. A lot of people were taking pictures last night too. So
now chat can tell me, isn't there is one of the big meteor showers right now, isn't it? Is it the Leonide or what? If chat want to tell me, what is the meteor shower that's happening right now? Is that still going on or is that over? All right, Damian Griffin, thank you. Jeffrey Woolidge and Michigan Lifestyle, thank you. Amarillo, obviously, that makes sense. Amarillo gun runners. So I don't know what was in the sky in Amarillo, but if anybody else saw something in the sky, I hope you got video of it. And remember, you can always go over to marfooglenews.com and submit it. Was visible in Central Florida last night. Dex, did you see anything in the sky last night? You're over in Georgia.
I did not. I didn't look.
Huh. Well, maybe we can. I didn't see anything about something in the sky last night, but multiple people are saying that they could see stuff. I mean, obviously,
Well, the auroras were out. I know a lot of the mods were getting pictures, like even in California and other locations. So,
oh, one of my friends sent a picture from a place called Coulon Beach, and they got a crazy, crazy sky last night. Maybe I can actually save that and post it. It was like crazy, crazy pink and just nuts. More tonight too. So it might be that. I don't know. But multiple meteor showers now. Yeah. Very, very interesting time to look up, right? Or don't look up. All right. And then how the Japan Prime Minister's Taiwan remarks provoked the fury of China. Dex, do you want to talk about what he said? Or I'm sorry. I think it's a him. I believe it's a him, right?
No, she. The new
she. That's why I double guessed it. What did she say?
Yeah, so over the past week, China and Japan have been locked in an escalating war of words. And it all started when Japan's new prime minister, Sanae Takachi.
The rock band girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to play heavy metal drums, if I remember correctly. Suggested that if China attacked Taiwan, then Japan could respond with its own self-defense force. Since then, foreign ministries on both sides have lodged serious protests with each other, and China's diplomats made what some interpreted as a threat to head Takashi. So, yeah, that's kind of a strong one there. The spat touches on the historical animosity, obviously, between China and Japan, as well as the longstanding strategic ambiguity on the sovereignty of Taiwan. Just a reminder, obviously in World War II, Japan was a real strong force against China back then. So there's a lot of history, and not just then, but in other times as well. But so, this statement from her was pretty strong. And then obviously the diplomatic escalation after that, even calling for a threat to behead, is pretty strong as well. So no love lost between the nations, and definitely stoking the fire between one another.
It's kind of crazy to think about that. In World War II happened because we were in part helping out China. Japan was invading China when World War II happened. They were invading, and we cut Japan off of oil. It was the full oil embargo, which cut them off from pretty much everything. They had 2 years of reserves left, and that's when they did that first strike against Pearl Harbor. Now, everybody has their side theories about what really happened with Pearl Harbor and everything else. But one thing is for sure, China and Japan definitely have some beef. So this is something where you have Japan now not an all-defense country as of, when their last president or the president before that ended up getting taken out by a homemade shoddy. It ended up changing their country completely. When he got taken out, within 2 weeks, his party, which supported them being an offensive country, ended up saying, hey, we've got to change our constitution again and change it to be more offensive. Now they're rolling up into the Taiwan Strait with their navy. So they're not sitting back and waiting for something to happen. We may see Japan and China, pop off at each other before anybody. We'll see. And then China accuses U.S. of orchestrating $13 billion Bitcoin hack. Now, Dex, I'm an idiot when it comes to Bitcoin, so I'll let you explain this one.
Certainly. So China's cybersecurity agency is accusing the American government of orchestrating a theft of $13 billion worth of Bitcoin, representing China's most recent attempt to attribute major cyber attacks to the U.S. The theft of 127,272 Bitcoin tokens from the Lubian Bitcoin mining pool that took place in December 2020. So we're going back in time here a little bit. Ranks as one of the largest crypto heists in history. The hack is likely a state-level hack operation led by the U.S., according to the Chinese National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center. So they are outright calling it a hack from the United States and a state-led hack from the United States. which said the quiet and delayed movement of the stolen Bitcoin suggests a government-level action rather than a typical criminal behavior. The report published last week links to stolen Bitcoin from Luban, once one of the largest Bitcoin mining operations in the world, with tokens that were confiscated by the U.S. government, which the U.S. said are associated with Chen Zi, the chairman of Cambodian conglomerate Prince Group. So,
what the Chen Zi is their bank, or what is the Chen Zi again?
Chen Zi is the chairman of the Cambodian conglomerate Prince Group. So Chen was charged by the U.S. with engaging in wire fraud conspiracy and operating a money laundering scheme in October. So China is blaming the U.S. for this. And nonetheless, all that matters is we're talking about a lot of money. We're talking about 13 billion worth of Bitcoin that was moved out, taken from this company in China at the time. The U.S. government may have already used hacking techniques as early as 2020 to steal the 127,000 Bitcoins held by Chen Zi. The report wrote, "This is a classic Black Eats Black operation orchestrated by the state-level hacking organization," they say. So this is China's big words against the U.S.
It's almost twice as much money as food stamps for our entire country for a month, right? That's a huge chunk of change. Too bad they didn't do that more recently. Then they could afford to put food stamps in everybody's account. I wonder, that's a big accusations. What kind of information they have? Can they prove that? And how big of a deal is that behind, closed doors? They're obviously calling it out in public, but if they do find out something like that, what is the consequence? And then China may have just cracked the code on an outer space particle beam. So this is really interesting too. And mind you, we started the show talking about these anti-drone weapons. Particle weapons and beam weapons have been something we've covered for now several years, even before they even said, directed energy was a thing. As if nuclear Armageddon down here on Earth wasn't enough to worry about, China could soon be readying particle beams from outer space. Particle beams, streams of high-speed atoms or subatomic particles. Let me just zoom in for you. Zap an enemy satellite with a beam so intense it melts or fries the target, which reminds me of some of the events that have happened, like the two, you've got the two amphibious assault carriers that both lit up and caught fire for 5 days in China and the U.S. Again, hinting towards they might already have this. Reality, however, has been less cooperative, mainly because of power. Building such a weapon means delivering megawatts of energy with a microsecond precision, a combo engineers usually describe as pick-one systems that are powerful and clumsy. Systems that are precise can't handle the juice. But Chinese scientists now claim that they've solved the decades-old physics headache in a study published in Advanced Small Satellite Technology. A team led by Su Zhenhua of the DFH satellite company unveiled a prototype power system that reportedly hits both marks, high power and pinpoint control. So what does this mean? Again, what they're saying is that they have now cracked the code on something that is supposedly so hard to do that this has protected the world from having these things around, that they may now have access to things like this. Particle beam weapons, if they don't already exist, which I think they kind of do, these are very scary things to have up above us. It says the device pushed out 2.6 megawatts of pulse power while keeping synchronization accuracy to 0.63 microseconds. It says existing pulsed power supplies typically have an output power of less than 1 megawatt. They go into all the details. It says instead of relying on miracle materials, the team redesigned the entire system from solar-fed capacitors to ultra-precise discharge control, ensuring that all 36 power modules fire within 630 nanoseconds of each other. So the result, they had 2.5 megawatts. This is giant of clean square wave pulses, perfect for particle accelerators, lasers, or any other definitely not weapon applications. So if you didn't get the air quotes, definitely not weapon means weapon. and weapon of this, this capacity, this is something that can do some very, very scary, scary things. And I wonder how they would even see this if something lit fire, if a fire lit off in the middle of a city, would we even know that it was, from space? I don't believe this is visible. I don't even think this is on the visible spectrum, but I don't know. I'm not an expert, but imagine an invisible or possibly invisible particle beam thing that could essentially heat up anything or blow up anything, go right into the middle of an ammo depot or a base and just absolutely decimate it. That's what I was thinking. Dex, am I off here, or is this, something that...
It certainly sounds
scary.
Very much like, other versions of energy weapons we've talked about and thought about in mysterious fires, whether they're on amphibious warships or other things where they just strangely burn. And this is a breakthrough, obviously, going from less than a 1 megawatt to 2.6. And when they were less than 1 megawatt, they had zero, very, very poor accuracy, to now having great accuracy. That's a huge jump in technology.
Sorry, I had to point out MAF. If you know, you're old school Foogle fam. If you know about the MAF. All right. Sometimes the comments on this are funny. These ones are scientific. It's not negative mass. It is zero negative mass. Please, the answer remains 42. I don't know what they're doing. They're arguing about the number 42. It looks more like a Reddit section down there. All right, and then this quantum computer just made teleportation a reality. This is another absolutely crazy thing. The timing of all of these coming out is just nuts. Dex, do you want to talk about what is possible, or that there's talking about could be possible now that they've solved something?
Well, they're saying teleportation is a reality now, and at least for quantum computers. And according to the study that was just published coming out of February from Oxford University, demonstrating teleportation of quantum data from one independent quantum processor to another via quantum entanglement. And this is so geeky. I'm sorry, folks.
Which we talked about. This is super bad.
But basically what they, if you just, to try to simplify it, they took a piece of information and they were able to destroy the information in one location and have it be recreated in another location identically. And that was done by using quantum entanglement, not using networks and wires. Like we do that today when we think about moving something over Wi-Fi or over the internet or over fiber optic cables. We can move a piece of data from one location. They were actually teleporting this stuff through quantum entanglement from one computer to another with no connectivity between them. So that's the idea around teleportation. They weren't teleporting necessarily physical. They didn't take a person and teleport them, but the logic holds true. Like if what they're saying they're able to do, in theory, you should be able to do it with anything.
There's nothing going in between.
I don't know what comes out on the other side when you think about it, but let's hope they test it with earthworms before they try it on larger species. But I don't think that's really.
But think about it though. There's nothing in between. There's no. Yeah. You put your hand between. Obviously, even Wi-Fi and signals are invisible. There are no signals going to that other thing. It is dissolving and disappearing, and then appearing somewhere else. That is teleportation at the definition of it.
And it's super secure too, because like when you think about like a wire, connecting, or even a radio wave connecting between 2 points, that is susceptible to hacking. Obviously we can put encryption in there, but even the encryption can be hacked eventually. But it's susceptible to interception, if you call it that. And what they've described here with this quantum entanglement is, if there is any interception, then the entanglement fails. So that it didn't work, and therefore it was being tampered with, and it can't be. So the only way to make it work is if it's untampered. So it's basically tamper-proof, I guess, is one way to think of it.
Okay, here's the easiest way to put this. So imagine you're watching a football game. The quarterback has the football in his hand. It disappears, and then the guy in the end zone, all of a sudden, everybody knows what teleportation is. But think about that. If the football disappears from the quarterback's hands and appears in the actual end zone in the receiver's hands, there is absolutely zero chance of anyone jumping up and grabbing that ball. There's no chance of interception. So this would be one of the most secure ways to actually send information of any kind. So this is important by itself. But then once you break down everything, then they could literally start making systems that could start teleporting, like Dex said, a worm or a dog or a monkey. I mean, this is crazy stuff to even think about and to think that it even exists. And then, of course, quantum computers will probably be the things that actually figure out how to do it, beyond what they already have now. Who knows what is happening behind closed doors in some of the governments of the world and what they're designing. I am terrified of what that means for all of us. And when people say, when a lot of us believe that there is a great big plan and that it's all big of a big plan, and they're like, how could it be this grand and grandiose? You're talking about all these countries that now have quantum computers. They absolutely could do a plan that foresees almost everything and does this on a grand scale and knows the reaction of how people would go and literally play out every step. That is something we can't fathom as civilians, but that's something that governments of the world are doing right now. It's very weird because, we all think that we all believe, we can choose to do something different and it might change something. Well, what if in this case, they have essentially somehow predicted the future with that thing? If they can do teleportation, there's a lot more that can be done too. All right. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out Jace. If you don't have antibiotics on hand, this is an extremely smart thing to have, especially if for some reason you get cut off from going to the hospital. In cases like New Orleans where people could not actually get to the hospital. And even if they got to the hospital's power was out. In North Carolina, you saw instances. You see this during fires and things like in California or in Hawaii where you just could not get to the other side of the road, right? So in this case, this is something where if you don't have it, you're pretty much screwed if we go to war with China, and you're also screwed if you cannot reach a pharmacy or a hospital. So this is something to have on hand. It's a great, easy service. Again, go check it out at marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF. Not only are you going to save money, you're going to save independent media at the same time. Again, also to ask about their Jace Daily. You can also get a 12-month extended supply of your prescription meds. Now, if you worry that if the lights went off tomorrow and you have a medicine that you basically have to take or you are dependent on it, then this is something to think about. Or if you have a family member you are a caregiver for, I would highly recommend checking that out because then you can get a year of that medication rotated in with your normal prescription. And you will always have a year of your prescription. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use code MARF. All right, and then India probes deadly Delhi blast, vows responsible will face justice. Now, if you didn't know what happened, there was a blast that took the lives of, I believe, 26 Hindu civilians perished and were killed in the tourist site of Palgram in an Indian-administered Kashmir. This is another event in Kashmir. Now, remember the last event that happened, 40, I believe, perished, and that started a war.
Yeah.
Is there a correction?
Yeah. Well, the 26 in Palgram was the one in April.
Oh,
that
okay.
was the first one. The one now is in Delhi.
Okay.
It's in Delhi.
Okay, thank you.
8 so far.
So I'm glad you said that because it's not in the same location. But that the main point is when that happened, it was instant war. It was almost instant. But something happened there after a few days. That was our Vice President Vance was there. Like if you couldn't see strings getting pulled, I don't know what to say. Right away, we said this is weird. The Vance was there at the Made in India thing. Basically, there's a program that India wants to do. It's called the Made in India Act or program. Basically, India is trying to say to the U.S. and other countries, hey, we can manufacture it here for the same price as China. We want to take some of that business. We want this thing to work. While that was going on, Pakistan supposedly did this huge attack that killed 26 in Kashmir right away. India ended up responding, sending jets, and did a blast in Pakistan. In between all of that, you had Pakistan legit go on, I think, 60 Minutes or on one of the news networks, and the defense minister was like, we don't know we didn't know about this at all. And in my heart, I watched that guy and I said, either he was purposely left out of the loop so he would look like he completely doesn't know what's going on, or he really doesn't know what's going on, like they didn't do it. Immediately thought it was weird. Well, then within 3 days of this war going back and forth, the U.S. says, hey, guys, stop the war. We've got information that you need to see now. And then it stopped. We don't know what was said, but I believe that China was pulling the strings. Obviously, China has motive. If this was a mystery, if this was a Scooby-Doo episode, we'd be like, it's China. China has obvious motivation. They are the manufacturer for the world, and India is basically stepping on their toes. And they also have control over certain things. They even have control in the grid that goes from China into Pakistan. They have huge swaths of power that they can sway over Pakistan. So something happened there. Now that there's this new one, now they're being super careful and they're not jumping right into war. But they're saying that the country's leading investigative agencies are conducting a swift and thorough inquiry into the incident. And I believe that this is because they don't want to make the same mistake. I think last time they found out that some third party, and maybe they didn't get proof it was China, third party was intertwined in this, and that's why they stopped the war last time. But that's just my amateur guess. Dex, what did you think about this when, this is happening and this time they're not jumping the gun on it?
Well, yeah, they're not jumping the gun, I guess, because they don't have the evidence. But I imagine if they did have the evidence and they thought it was coming from Pakistan, they would probably be amping up really quickly. So yeah, this is the type of event and where this is happening. It's in Delhi. It's not in New Delhi is the capital. It's a subsection of Delhi. This did happen in Delhi. So near that area, I guess you could say, or in the region of Delhi. India is a big country, but it's a high profile incident, and it's going to warrant a response.
Yeah, I don't the names here, so I wonder where. So there's Punjab, and then here's New Delhi. I was trying to see where this is in relation to Kashmir. I don't know the geographic layout of India, but it's huge.
Blue dot isn't necessarily where.
No, I know. Yeah. But the blue dot is actually right at New Delhi, or by New Delhi. So New Delhi is there. I don't know where Kashmir is. If somebody knows if it's north,
up
south.
to the left, over towards Pakistan.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, you've got Kashmir over there. So yeah, this is something where if this goes off, they could do it. If they find out that this was Pakistan, or if there was evidence that was left to make it look like Pakistan, I don't think they're going to say anything before they do something. I believe that they will do some sort of big first strike on Pakistan. But have they learned from last time? Something obviously was wrong with the last time that this happened, where 26 died. This one, they said 8. So this is obviously another instance where you don't know if somebody is putting their hand in the pot. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you, and thank you. Amarillo Gun Runners, thank you for your support tonight. Thank you for supporting Independent. Michael Koslow, thank you for gifting out a badge, and I believe was Riverine the one who got that? It looks like it. Thank you so much. Again, thank you, Riverine, for joining, and Anderson and Michael Koslow, thank you for gifting out badges. Amarillo Gun Runner, thank you. You and Ed Cooksey, thank you. Is that your other name? That is funny. Amarillo Gun Runner. I'll just call you Amarillo Gun Runner. I don't know why YouTube has started to do that again. It's like Dex, didn't they switch back and then they switched again to now where they show the stupid @ sign?
Yeah, it depends on the channel. Like some channels it's turned on that way and others it's not. And the channel owner doesn't have, it's not their control. It's YouTube that's doing it.
Yeah, because I think news is not like that. Our other channel. John Baldwin.
But Jams is. Jams shows the ad signs.
Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah. I don't understand that. Stephanie Minoz, we had the wonderful Ilea. You guys got to go check out her channel. And Wages, of course, he's covering all of that solar crazy stuff that's going on. He also covers anything that's weird in space. all over at marfooglenews.com/friends. Go check them out. Obviously, make sure to utilize that sale on EMP if you've been waiting on the fence again. Just a reminder, that is a huge, huge sale, the 25% off, so make sure to utilize it. All right, guys, and then check out everybody over on the Friends page, including our wonderful friends. I quoted him earlier in that tweet, Jacob Israel. So go check him out. And I believe he actually changed his... did he change it back? He changed his name. I just noticed he changed it back. I think he did it. He changed it to Jacob's Ladder for a bit because obviously in his name was a very soft target for the algorithms. So again, go check out Jacob Israel. I'm glad that he changed it back. Everybody knows him as Jacob Israel. It's always going to be that way. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much, Dex, for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And there is one last thing I want to show you guys. This was funny. So on Monday, I actually did think it was Veterans Day. And a lot of other people do too. I want to ask you guys a quick question. Do you remember, is this some sort of Mandela effect? Do you remember, and I'm sure some of you before 1975 remember Veterans Day being on a Monday and it being a 3-day weekend? There is this video right here, and this was shared around the last couple days. A lot of folks believed that Veterans Day was always on a Monday. Now, if you look back in history, it was. But that changed in 1975 where they moved a bunch of holidays around, and now it's always on the 11th because veterans ended up saying, hey, no, this has got to be on the day that the war ended. So this is very odd to me. I guess I had a Mandela effect that it was always on a Monday. But maybe all of us in group are mistaking it for another day. When it comes around, I always thought it was on Monday. So on Monday night, I actually did believe that it was Veterans Day. And on the next day, obviously, it was on Tuesday. And this guy says, I had this debate at work. Veterans Day was always on Monday. Yes, and it used to be a 3-day weekend. What do you guys think? Are they confusing one of the other days? Did you think this too on Monday? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear if this was something like, is this a Mandela effect where people are now saying, they remember it? Let me know. All right. We'll see you guys. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Memorial Day is probably the mix up, but a lot of people were talking about that. So I'm glad I wasn't alone.